Hi, I'm Dave Scott. I am here at the Four Seasons in Hualalai, right on the King K. Excuse me, let's start over again. Yeah. Hi, I'm Dave Scott. I'm here at the Four Seasons on the big island of Hawaii, right on the Kona coast on the Queen K Highway. It's right over here, a couple of miles, where all the cyclists go by during the Ironman race. And I've obviously been on this course many times, racing and training. But I've come here for my camps at the Four Seasons, that we have 4 this year, and you can take a look at my website. Anyway, I just want to say hello to Dane and Peter and Christelle and all the folks at Atmosphere, and I hope you're having a great summer. It's summer here right now, which is a nice relief from my Colorado weather. Anyway, I got a series of questions from Dane a while back on hydration, and it's really a great series of questions, so I'm going to try to cover this in a sequence. And I think when we look at hydration, a lot of people that think of hydration, gee, I've always got to be hydrated. Well, your body is comprised of 60% water, and so yes, hydration is a key factor, and you can have multiple days where you become dehydrated, particularly during your summertime when your humidity goes up and the temperature goes up. So let's talk about the factors that can cause dehydration, and then you're going to have loss of brain clarity and also loss of muscle function, and it also affects your electrolytes. So it begins to start shutting yourself down when you get to serious deficits of dehydration. So we look at dehydration. What does that really mean? If you weigh yourself before you exercise, you weigh yourself nude and you weigh yourself post-exercise, and you see what that water weight loss is, most of us can tolerate a 5 to 6% water weight loss. And that seems like quite a bit, but that generally doesn't impair our function unless you're working at a high intensity. So those of you that are racing and trying to keep a high work output up, sometimes we get to that 5 to 6% water weight loss. All of a sudden our thermostat, internal thermostat, starts to shut down a little bit, and we really lose that brain clarity. When we get to 6 to 7, up to 10 to 11%, there's been a lot of athletes that have finished races in the 9 to 10% range water loss and have done well. So recognize, going into training and into a race, a lot of times we rest and we retain a little bit of water depending on your food intake. So quite often you can go up 1 to 2% in your weight gain if you're preparing for a big event. On a daily basis, no more than 5 to 6% water loss. Be really careful. So what are the big factors? Humidity, number 1, that's it. Heat is number 2, race intensity, and lean body mass. Those are the 4 elements that really increase your weight loss. In other words, if you're doing light aerobics and you're in an air-conditioned environment at the club, your water weight loss is probably going to be fairly small and the heat load is going to be minor. But if you're going to go outside and run 15K hard during midday, during the summer, watch out. And you need to be hydrated. So I want to talk about one element where people have a tendency to look at hydration and they go too far. And the word is hyponatremia, and that's where we start reducing the blood sodium losses. So we end up taking in too much water, and this can be exacerbated even before the exercise begins or the race begins. And I see athletes doing this all the time. They think, gee, it's a really hot day, it's going to be 35 degrees centigrade tomorrow, and I've got to hydrate the night before, the morning of. And what happens is that they start lowering that blood sodium levels, and this can cause serious issues with the electrolyte balance, because the sodium is balanced with the potassium and the magnesium. So you never want to try to feel like you're a camel, you're overhydrating yourself, you're taking in too much thinking, gee, I've got to withstand the conditions. Drink when your thirst mechanism kicks in, and then during the race, you're better off taking in smaller volumes more frequently. So every 8 to 12 minutes, if you can just take in small amounts and sip a little bit. So what is that water loss that may cause this hyponatremic condition? I don't know. I honestly don't know, and you can look at all the data. Some people need 100 milliliters of fluid every hour. Other people will need 1.8 liters per hour, a magnificent range. So again, it depends on those 4 factors that I mentioned. A couple other things on hyponatremia. You may notice that if you've taken in too much water, the first telltale sign is that your fingers become very bloated. And that edema that you have, that water retention that you have, is the first signal. If you're wearing a ring or a jewelry, you may notice that it's real tight. And you notice when you clench your fist that it's real tight. You've taken in too much fluid. Do you need to take in more fluid? No, don't. You need to balance out the electrolytes. And where people get in trouble is they think, gee, I'm thirsty, I need more water. Well, that can just heighten and exacerbate the condition. So you need the electrolytes. If you become a hyponatremic and setting yourself up for good water retention when you're exercising, And the key electrolytes are magnesium, potassium, and sodium. And generally you can get those in an electrolyte tablet. Now I'm going to give you a range again. If you're a heavy sweater, hot conditions, high intensity, you may need over a gram of sodium per hour. If you're a light sweater, 150 to 200 milligrams per hour, a lot less, because our body stores a lot of sodium. Most of the electrolyte tablets have a little bit of magnesium, and I will reference this, that in the studies, and it's difficult to look at magnesium loss unless you're looking at it longitudinally. Most of the athletic folks, even in the health club, and certainly triathletes and runners, will need to take in a little bit of magnesium supplement. And the two best forms are magnesium threonate, Threonate, or magnesium citrate. And I would start off with 200 to 400 milligrams because it has a laxative type effect as well. It's good for your stomach, but it helps electrolyte balance, and that will really help that whole hydration issue. So in summary on this, don't just drink to drink. Listen to your thirst mechanism. If you find that you haven't urinated every 4 to 6 hours during your day, you're probably a little bit dehydrated. So that means 4 to 8 times per day that you should be urinating on a regular basis. And if you find post-exercise that you don't urinate for 10 or 12 hours, get the electrolytes back in